All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Imbriano, and it's a sunny morning here in Orange County. I'm just gonna wait for just a moment here to make sure that we have a signal. I was watching a telecom worker hook something up on one of these poles on the street here. Looks like some sort of a public Wi-Fi hotspot. All right, we coming in okay, folks? Let me see what's going on. We have notifications going out. Let's give it a minute. Not really this morning, huh? Looks like they didn't like my speech last night, huh? All right. Just I'll give it another 10 or 15 seconds here before we get into this. I know I'm a little early this morning. All right, so once again, good morning. This is Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92334, and on the web at wifidangers.com and the fullertoninformer.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what we had take place last night is Donald Trump telling everybody that we have this horrible crisis on the southern border. And here's the deal, folks. He's not kidding. But up on the northern border of California is the governor's mansion. And there's a guy living there that likes to show off his little boy with a pacifier in his mouth, which I really doubt whether that's even his child or whether somebody sired it for him. I doubt even really if this guy is really who he claims to be, but that's a whole different discussion. So our governor of the state of California wants to give illegal aliens up to age 26 free medical insurance. So we have a crisis at the southern border that justifies a wall, and we've got a governor in the mansion wanting to give free health care for all. Does that make any sense, ladies and gentlemen? Let me tell you what's really concerning about last night. Last night was Tuesday night, and Tuesday nights are generally the nights that the city councils and school boards meet. They all meet at the same time on the same nights, so you can't go to the meetings. You have to skip one and go to the other. You know, if you got kids in school and you want to know what's going on at the school board, well, you got to choose whether you want to go to the city council meeting or the school board meeting, because they all meet on the same night, right? That's all by design, folks. It's all by design. 7 days in the week, 30 days a month, and they set it up that way. But what's important about what I want to talk to you about today is while Trump is telling us he needs the wall, as the governor of California says free medical care for all, last night was a record night for 5G city council agendas all over California. And I believe that was by design. There were cities all over Southern California last night voting on how to implement the rollout of 5G, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. So what's going on now is we've got Trump telling us we need a wall to keep us in, when he's trying to make it sound like he needs a wall to keep away the people coming for the free health care for all. None of this is making any sense, folks. And when you look at the 5G systems, and by the way, I posted on my website, if you go to 5gdangers.com, you can see the link in the video to the CIA document that tells you what millimeter waves are going to do to your body, do to your tissues, do to your organs, do to your cells, do to your health. It's all there. It's all there, ladies and gentlemen. The Hermosa Beach City Council last night voted 5-0 to roll it out. To go ahead and give carte blanche to the telecom companies, as most city councils do, as most city employees and city attorneys and public works managers are all trained to do, is roll with the agenda so they can collect their salaries and sell their people out. So I was live streaming for almost 2 hours last night during this ordeal, and had a chance to meet some very interesting people after the meeting. But what we all understand clearly is that most people are not awake the hour's late. And no matter what, we still have to try to wake people up, because unfortunately, if it comes to what I think it's going to come, it's going to be too late for most people. But with a clean conscience, we can say that we tried, right? Well, I'm not done fighting, folks, and I want to tell you something. They put one of these things in your yard, you've got to look at it as a weapon aimed at your house. And from a defensive and self-defensive standpoint, you've got to treat it as such. Last night was just another Kabuki Theater episode for the Trump administration. While deep in the heart of the local municipalities, the Trump agenda for 5G goes ahead. You see, his big emergency speech last night was nothing more than a big cover for what's going on behind the scenes and in your backyard, ladies and gentlemen. You see those black cables are hooking up everywhere with those orange labels on them, that fiber optic? Well, that's so they can hook up the millimeter wave weapons in your backyard and kill you with them slowly, make you sick, have bad things happen to your body and your health, and have these strange mystery illnesses, and surveil and spy on everything you do with this Internet of Things. They're gonna know everything you make, everything you bake, everything you drink, everything you think, because all the devices are going to communicate with these transmitters. But that's only if you're stupid enough to bring them into your house. Southern California is just like every other part of the country, folks. You know, most people are anesthetized by the medication, the Wi-Fi, the fluoride, and the GMOs, the glyphosate, and the heater running all night, burning up all the oxygen in the room. And most people are walking around with their pineal gland harder than a granite boulder at the end of the wedge in Newport Beach. But that's because they choose to do this, folks. That's because they choose to do this. 97% of the people in the United States are not relevant to the discussion. It's that 3% that won the Revolutionary War. It's that 3% that can turn the tide of history. And I want to welcome all of you to that 3%, folks. Listen, they don't like what we're doing. They don't like what I'm doing. And you know, when I look into the eyes of these elected representatives, when I look at these bimbos on the school boards that care more about their purse collection and their Max Factor makeup application than they do about the concrete scientific evidence that they're destroying people with what they're voting on, that tells you everything you need to know about what kind of society we live in, folks. It tells you everything you need to know. The southern border of California is a joke, and we've got a governor who's promising free health care for everybody that wants to come over here and break the law. So part of this Trump deception is that he's supposed to be doing something about something when in fact he's doing everything about everything he was put in office to do. And that is his handlers. And we know who his handlers are because, as a once good friend of mine said, follow the money, Joe, right? Who is Trump's biggest supporter financially? Mr. Edelstein, right? Big Vegas magnate, right? Right? Guy owns a bunch of casinos, and I don't know, what did he give him, $100 million? I don't know the number. The largest donor to the Trump campaign was Mr. Edelstein. And we know what's going on with 5G. We know it's out of Israel. We know that 5G was invented in Israel by Qualcomm. And we know, according to trade publications from the industry, that Israel's not getting 5G. But we are. And we know that Trump is pushing 5G. He's nationalizing 5G. It's a part of his agenda. And he's ramming it down our throats. And while he's giving us his immigration slam speech, the city councils are ramming through 5G all over Southern California last night. I think Torrance, Lomita, I think, well, there's like 3 or 4 other cities doing it at the same time. Just that I'm aware of. And you know how many cities there are? Look, folks. And nobody was there. And nobody cares because nobody understands this stuff. I understand this stuff. If you watched my live stream last night, you can, you know, I read verbatim what this stuff does. Basically, we have a couple of choices, ladies and gentlemen. We can go back to our Hot Pockets and Ding Dongs and our Bong Loads and our Jack Daniels and our Oxys and our porno and you know, our Minecraft and all of this baloney that we bury our heads in the sand with. And for you women, the frosting and the shopping and the makeup and the eyelash extensions and you know, the boots that you look online for hours at a time and you know, those jeans that you shouldn't be wearing because you don't fit into them. Look, I'm not trying to insult you. What I'm trying to tell you is that, you know, you have abandoned your responsibility as citizens, folks. You see, you've become consumers, and what happens when you become consumers is you just end up waiting for the din-din bell while everything goes to hell. And that's what's happening right now. You know, all right, I'm going to talk to you about something, folks, and it's part of the Trump deception, because part of this great deception that Trump has got us under is that he's this, you know, great statesman, and you know, he's trying to solve our problems. Look, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, should be up on treason charges. He should be under federal indictment for promising health care to illegal aliens. What does Trump do? Nothing. What does Trump's Supreme Court nominee do that he gets on there? He gives a pro-abortion ruling? I mean, come on. Okay, so all you business owners, you got your corporate tax cut, right? Okay, so is that so you turn your back on what's happening to your daughters and your grandchildren and your sons and your grandsons, because all your grandsons and granddaughters have autism, and you're going to watch your children start coming down with weird cancers from all this stuff? And you know, all you care about your tax break, right? Because my wallet's fat, right? And oh well, it's their problem, right? No, you don't understand. You don't understand. Here's the deal, folks. When they put this stuff in, the older people are going to be the first ones to hit the ground. You laugh right now. You know what? I'll tell you something. Cracks me up. I know a lot of people who work in hospitals. And there's a lot of wealthy people in those hospital beds right now. And guess what? Their money's not saving them. When your health goes, it's over. When you lose your health, you ain't got shit. Do you hear me? You got nothing. You got nothing but a bunch of paper with the Illuminati eyeball on the back of it in your wallet. And you need to wake up and fight for your families. You need to fight for your fellow man and woman and children. And yeah, they attack the notifications. So you're darn right. That's okay. This will get out. Because they don't like us talking about what we talked about last night when we're exposing the belly of this agenda, this Trump 5G agenda, this deception that this man, which is really nothing more than a bankruptcy whore puppet actor. I mean, think about this guy. This guy's went bankrupt more times than Michael Milliken, right? The junk bond guys that, yeah, I mean, he's a white-collar criminal, for crying out loud. Look, the millimeter wave systems are a weapon. And now you know, he's the other part of the Trump deception is he's supposedly set up this Health and Human Services Commission on religious freedom or vaccine freedom or something. That thing's a joke. In the meantime, he's got I might as well say it. He might as we got RFK and Mr. Little Tree or whatever his name is running around like they just hit the jackpot with a, you know, they got some public records released that oh yeah, the vaccines haven't been safety tested. We knew that. All you have to do is read the inserts, you frickin' morons. Yeah, that's right, R.F. Kennedy and Del Bigtree, you are controlled opposition morons because you're exercising the grassroots activists and you're sucking money out of their pockets with your scam for fundraising to fight a legal battle to determine if the vaccine manufacturers have been conducting safety testing. Here's the deal, folks, and I'm going to speak this plain as day. You guys are full of shit, because you know why? All you had to do was read the vaccine inserts that state that the vaccines have not been tested for mutagenic potential, carcinogenic potential, or impairment of fertility. It took all 2 clicks of a mouse with my index finger and not a dime to figure that out. And how many millions of dollars are you ripping people off for to fight your phony legal battle? No! No! You guys are scam artists, and you are exercising the grassroots momentum against this forced vaccination agenda. You, Mr. Del Big Smoke Tree, or whatever the heck you are, and Mr. RFK, related to the liquor peddling scum mafia family that you came from, need to file an injunction immediately with all this money you've stolen from all these good people to block all of the forced vaccination laws immediately based on Section 13 of all of the vaccine inserts. Case closed. End of discussion. That's right. That's right, folks. So if anybody has any questions about who's involved in the Trump deception, like these clowns he's put on his vaccine safety thing, Big Tree and Kennedy are part of the Trump deception as well. Do you understand what I'm saying, folks? If you have people that are supposed to be on some sort of safety commission, and they raise millions of dollars to fight a legal battle to get disclosure on if the vaccines have been tested for safety tested or not, when all you had to do was open a vaccine insert and it states it right there, why do you need to go to court and look for documents when you've already got the document in your freaking hand? All right. So the Trump deception goes far and wide, folks. And what they did is they bought off all the older people with a tax cut. That's what Bush did. Because the older people are really easy to con. You know, you just throw them a good bottle of booze and a bunch of money, and they'll roll over like a fat hog if you tickle their tummy. That's all they care about! Look where we are! Look where we are, folks. The borders are wide open. The syringes are on the Golden Globes in your kids' bloodstreams. The Wi-Fi router's on top of your kid's head in school with an infertility pad in your daughter's lap sterilizing her. And you're in denial about how your son has autism, and your other son has autism, and your brother's son has autism. And you're in denial about how you got to give your kid antifreeze because he's got pediatric constipation from all the vaccines. And you're in denial because you're at your 10th visit to Chalk and they can't figure out why he keeps getting these ear infections, right? But that's okay because you've got a Land Rover in the driveway and your wife gets to go to Nordstrom, right? You don't care! You idiots. You idiots. Seriously. What do we got? We got Lady Gaga taking baths in blood at the hotel and wrapping herself, putting a bunch of raw meat around her, and then we got her standing outside a coffin of a cadaver like she's ready to go have lunch on the thing. And this is the people that these are the stars and celebrities that they're going to run in Vegas for the next 10 years to replace Celine Dion over at Caesar's Palace or whatever. I mean, come on! What is going on with you people? You know why I'm pissed off? Because we're living in the devil's mansion and you guys are all acting like his frickin' butler. What is the matter with you people? And you know what? Don't give me this baloney about Trump being some savior, some messianic figure. This guy is about to start World War III with his foreign policy and these war hawks he's put into all these cabinet level positions. And you look at his Middle East policy and it's right out of the pit of hell, folks. You don't want to hear it, do you? You want your kids to come back in a body bag, right? But there'll be a flag and a ceremony for your 19-year-old. Don't worry about it, right? The Trump deception is a massive deception, folks. Because we are in a process of weaponizing our entire infrastructure to surveil and to soft kill all of us. And what is he doing about it? He is promoting the living hell out of it, folks. This is not a good broadcast this morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not here to tell you about how blue the sky is and how the hummingbirds are in flight and enjoying the nectar out of the bird of paradise. I'm here to tell you that the crows are in flight and that the buzzards are waiting for you to lay down. It's a bright blue morning in Southern California, but it is a dark day dawning when we have to face the reality that our elected leaders are all criminals. I witnessed criminal behavior last night at just another one of the city council meetings I attended. When you have a city council that deliberately ignores scientific evidence that they're about to approve the installation of weapons. And the research from 41 years ago explained all about what the weaponry would do, and they still voted to approve the installation of this stuff. That's criminal assault, folks. These people are criminals. They belong in jail. Now, if the FBI won't put the pedophiles away, do you think the police chief's going to put the mayor away? No, they're going to go have lunch over at one of the nice restaurants today, probably, while the rest of us are at work. They're going to go about 1 or 2 o'clock and, you know, have a $25 salad, and, you know, she'll look at her Gucci bag and look in her compact mirror to see if the goop's running down her eyeball, right? That's the kind of people that are running things, folks. And all you prima donnas dumping your kids off at school in the microwave chambers as you drive around your fancy new cars that are Wi-Fi-ing the crap out of all your kids so they can play on their iPads when you pick them up. And you wonder why your children are all brain damaged and have these forms of retardation that you're in denial of, and you want to fundraise for these foundations that make us aware of all this stuff, right? The Trump deception involves a forced outbreak, a forced vaccination scam that's going to come from a staged outbreak. The Trump deception involves World War III from his foreign policy in the Middle East. And the Trump deception involves weaponizing our communications infrastructure, ladies and gentlemen. And the Trump deception involves this false dichotomy of securing our borders while giving away all the free stuff in the world for anybody that wants to come here and use the massage parlors and take all the trade jobs, spread venereal disease, create illegitimate children that end up on the welfare doles and plugging up the hospitals and the emergency rooms because their parents feed them a bunch of Takis and ding-dongs, all right? That's what's going on. Free health care. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The Trump deception. He wants a wall to keep us in because we don't want to leave yet, because we haven't figured out it's time to leave yet. In the meantime, he is allowing the governor of California to promise free health care to all illegal aliens under age 26. Now, what does that mean? That means that every able-bodied male and female is going to head up here and into this country as fast as they can get their shoes on, because now they know that they can get their Viagra, they can get their birth control, they can get their sex change, they can get their cold medicine, they can get their OxyContins, and guess what? There'll be plenty of work for them because there's good money in building the jails and building the prisons, folks. That's right, the housing, and all the illegal aliens will be laying the cable for the 5G. They'll be building all the high-density kill grid apartment structures, and they'll be digging up all the asphalt, laying the conduit for the cable that's going to run the smart grid, folks. And they'll get everything for nothing. Guess what they're going to get, folks? Once they crank out a few anchor babies and their old lady gets a pad under Section 8, they get to keep half their check and take it to the massage parlors, because that's already going on right now. Why do you think there's these massage parlors all over the place? And you know what? Maybe I ought to start streaming these cats coming out of these places, right? Maybe we ought to put some faces to the music, huh? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Because what is going on now is the sex trade and sex trafficking is going to increase exponentially, because as you increase illegal alien immigration into the country, you increase the sex trafficking, the drug trafficking, the arms trafficking. All of the horrific things that ruin a country only increase. Now, just like the bullet train to Sacramento and to nowhere that they claim is going to be built in California, when it's really designed to connect the mega regions in the Hunger Games model of the future that makes no sense right now, they are erecting this wall not to keep people out, but to keep us in when we try to leave, when we really figure out that it's time to get out of here. Because when they weaponize all the infrastructure with all these millimeter waves and leave the GSM technology in place and weaponize the current cell towers even more than they already are and start turning the power up and start releasing all these fake plagues and force everybody to get vaccinated, and you have all these bad things happening to everybody, and then you have all these people running around on the streets raping and killing and stealing like you do in all these other countries where the door's wide open, they let everybody in. People want to leave, you won't be able to. I hope you guys like your tax cut with Trump. I hope you enjoy your 20%, right? Okay, I'm making a few more bucks off of this guy. But you know what? Look what I'm dealing with. Look what you're dealing with, folks. I don't know if I want to go into any more detail about Mr. Trump. All I know is that this guy's quite the con. He's quite the con, folks. And if you don't see it, I don't know. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. The Trump deception is a big deception, and we're in for some rocky times. We're in for some rocky times, folks. You got to look at what's going on, folks. It's all orchestrated. It's all carefully planned out decades in advance. Like the day that the Twin Towers were built was the day they knew they were coming down. You look at David Rockefeller's watch in that picture on the Newsweek 1967 cover article, and it shows 9/11 on his watch. It's unbelievable, folks. You can look at the Supertramp album, Breakfast in America, and you can look at the album sleeve, and you can look at that thing in a mirror, and you'll see 9/11 right over the trade towers. It's unbelievable. That was in 1979, folks. These guys know what they got planned. You know what? So do we. That's why I'm warning you to protect yourself. Don't take the shots, and don't let them put these antennas on your property. And when they do put these antennas on your property, realize that they're a weapon aimed at you and your family. And you've got to consider what you plan on doing to address the fact that they've put weapons on your property, ladies and gentlemen, aimed at you and your children. That's a fact. You cannot sit there and allow these people to get away with this. All right? All you have to do is start saying no to stuff. And you know what, men? Here's the real problem. What I see happening right now is the men have completely left all involvement in everything except for sports, you know? And I see the women being the ones who are getting involved in things, and they're making all the wrong decisions. When I look at the people who have been elected, they're mostly women, and they're all doing the wrong things, folks. They're voting the wrong ways. They're not listening to things that they should be listening to. They're acting emotionally instead of logically. And this is how things go. When I look at a school board meeting in Fullerton, and all these principals and board members spend more time looking at their purse and their watch, and looking at each other's shoes, and joking and giddishly joking about nonsense, while important issues are being discussed that they're voting on to ruin kids. We got a problem. And then what happens is these men, like what I witnessed last night, these emasculated clowns on these councils, we talk about how this stuff's all a weapon, how all these antennas are going to harm people. And this emasculated clown, I forget his name, all he cares about is, I don't know if it's aesthetically pleasing enough, this design. Well, I hope he gets one right outside his bedroom window. And I guess, we'll see when the guy ends up succumbing to the illnesses that this thing is going to induce in everybody. The show must go on, folks. And there is a reason why they want to give free health care to everybody, folks. Think about it. Think about why they want to give everybody free health care. Why? What's so good about health? What is health care? What's the first thing you think of when you think of health care? Actually, what's the first thing that happens to you when you go to the doctors? I'll tell you what it is, folks. It's a needle. It's a needle. It's a needle, folks. They want to inject everybody. They want to open up the border even more so they can blame these people for bringing in some disease so they can forcibly vaccinate all the rest of us. They want to create enough chaos to get us all into the national ID card and just amalgamate us into one big slave herd so they can have their way with us. Well, guess what, folks? You got to start saving your money and preparing for difficult times and staying one step ahead of the curve, and realize that Donald Trump is not who he claims to be, and you better watch this guy's every move, because every time he goes on TV and does something, 10 bad things are going on in the back rooms in all these local governments, just like I saw last night. That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Trump's telling you about how we have this crisis at the southern border, and I watched a crisis in every city council chamber in Southern California last night. Off the chain with nobody watching, because everybody's watching the Kabuki Theater, as Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, wants to give all the illegal aliens free health care. And you know what else they get? The housing, they get the dental care, they get the free rides to the doctors and the sex changes, and the tuition, and the backpacks, and the shoes, and the food, and the Super Size Me and the drive-through EBT card. That's right, folks, they get it all. And what do you get? What's that country song? What was that country song? She got the gold mine and I got the shaft, right? Isn't that how it works? Isn't that what it's looking like for us? I'm not going to take it, folks. They're not going to weaponize my neighborhood. They're not going to inject my kids. How about this? Over my dead body. God bless all of you.